Assalamu alaikum. So we are going to continue with the topic which we started yesterday. And if you remember, that was a topic about grouping of control count locations. So what we were trying to do is, since for every control count location, we will have a different set of adjustment factors. So instead of having so many factors for the same day of the week or month of the year, you want to group them together. Okay, so instead of having 10 different values or 20 different values for Monday, we will have one value. Grouping means we will take an average. And there was a criteria that we have to meet, that the average value for Monday and should not be more than plus minus 0.1 from the individual values of Monday, okay, or any other particular day or any other particular month. Okay, so first of all, just a small clarification. When I say grouping the values, I mean taking the average and average for the same day or the same month. You cannot group the values for Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday together. Okay, we don't mean this. We mean taking the value of the same day or the same month for different stations and combining them as an average. Okay, and the criteria is the average should not be more than plus minus 0.1 from each individual value. Okay, let us today look at an example. We'll start with an example. So we have you know, what do we have? We have 4 stations. Okay. So we have 4 stations, you can see, and for each station we have 7 factors for each day of the week, and we want to combine these 4 stations together. So to apply the criteria of the average, we first of all calculated the average factor for each day. So 1.01 is the average of the 4 values of Monday, and 1.02 is the average of the 4 values of Tuesday, and so on. Okay, so for each day I have calculated the average value. Okay. Now we will apply the criteria. The criteria is that this average should not be more than plus minus 0.1 from the individual values. So if you take the value of Monday is 1.01. If you take the difference of 1.01 with station 1, which has 1.05, then you will get 0.04. So it is under the limit. If you take the difference of 1.01 with 1, which is for station 2, you will get 0.01. Again, no problem. Then with station 3, you will get 0.05. And if you take the difference with station 4, you will get 0.09. So all values are under the limit, no problem. You move on to Tuesday. Okay, and now Tuesday average is 1.02. The difference with station 1 will be 0.08. The difference with station 2 is 0. Station 3, 0.04. Station 5 is 0.13. So you see this value is highlighted. It is made bold because this value is giving a difference out of the range. Okay, so we will just keep it highlighted for the time being, and we will use it later on. Okay, then for Wednesday, no problem. All values are in the range. You can go on and check the difference. Thursday, no problem. Friday, again, no problem. Okay, I'm just trying to go through it quickly. Okay, if you want, you can take the difference with the individual values yourselves. Then Saturday, you come to Saturday, the average is 0.98. If you take the difference with the station 1 value, you will get 0.13. Okay, so this is out of the range. So again, it is made bold. Then difference with station 2, 0.04, station 3, 0.08, station 4, the difference is again 1.13. So big problem, right? It's a big problem. 1.13. Oh, sorry, 0.13. Okay, so again, these 2 values are out of the range, that are highlighted. Come to Sunday, 0.92, you take the difference, 0.83, no problem, 0.9, no problem, 0.84, no problem, 1.1, big problem. The difference is 0.18, which is not acceptable. The book did not highlight it, so let me highlight it myself. So this value also is out of the range. Okay, so you can see in the whole table, 4 values are out of the range. 4 values are out of the range. Okay, now when you got the first value out of the range, the conclusion is we cannot group these 4 stations together. Even if one value is out of the range, the conclusion is that these 4 stations cannot be grouped together. Okay, then you may say, why did not I stop there? Why did I waste my time to calculate it for all the days? Because maybe there is another possible 3-station combination. I can group any 3 stations together. Okay, so grouping 4 is not possible, then maybe grouping of 3 is possible. Okay, so in order to check that, I calculated the adjustment factors for all the days. So to see which grouping can I apply, Okay, so maybe if I cannot group 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe I can group 1, 2, and 4. Maybe I can group 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that's why I calculated all the values. Okay, now in total 4 values are out of the range. Okay, now if I want to try and group 3 stations together, which 3 stations should I group? Now if you see, I have 4 values out of the range. 3 of them belong to station 4. So station 4 is the real problem. I should kick that one out of my group. So whenever somebody is making trouble, you kick him out of the group. Okay, keep it in mind for your future life as well. Somebody is making problems, and the other group is going in one way, that person going in the other way, kick him out of the group. Okay, we will do the same thing here. We will kick station 4 out of the group. Okay, so the remaining are 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now I'm not doing 1, 2, and 3 because these are the first three stations. No, I am kicking out station 4 because station 4 has more values out of the range. Okay, station 4 is taken out of the group because station 4 has more values out of the range. One explanation or clarification here: either you have to take all values from a station in the group, or you have to leave all the values from that station in the group. So you cannot say, okay, keep station 4 but leave out the values for Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday. No, it is not possible because it will create confusion. First of all, your average will have a station that is not included in the other days. Okay. Secondly, you have to tell everybody, okay, for Monday take the average value, for Tuesday take different value for the first 3 stations and different value for station 4. Okay, so you see the confusion, it's still there. Okay, we are trying to make our lives easier by taking out few values, okay, and keeping the remaining values from one station will create more confusion. Okay, so we don't want that confusion. We are happy with having more values with less confusion. Okay, so now we will do the grouping for the first 3 stations because these stations had less only 1 values out of the range. Okay, now so these are the values as it is, and these are the new averages. Okay, now again you will apply the criteria to see if we can group the first 3 stations together as well. Now if you look at the values of the first 3 stations, they did not have any problem with the except for station 1 on Saturday. Station 2 and 3 did not have any problem on any day, and station 1 had a problem of value out of the range on Saturday. Okay, so you don't have to go again and check each and every value, because if values were already in the range with a grouping of 4, with the new grouping they will still be in the range. It is not possible that the new average is now having more values out of the range. So if there was one value from these 3 stations which was out of the range, if that value is in the range, then all other values will still be in the range. Okay, if a value was in the range with the previous grouping, then with the next grouping, by taking out the problematic station, you will still have the same values in the range. Okay, the values will not go out of the range with the new grouping. Okay, so station 2 and 3 need not to be checked because they already have the values in the range from the previous grouping, and station 1 needs only to be checked for Saturday. So on Saturday the value is 0.84 and the new average is 0.9. So 0.9 minus 0.85 will give you 0.05. So no problem. Okay, so if this values are in the range, all of the remaining values are already in the range. So that means grouping of these 3 stations is possible. So in this case, I will have 2 sets of daily adjustment factors. One which is the average of the 3 stations, and the other one for station 4. Okay, I think I have some questions. Not here. Okay, moving on. Now, where do we use these adjustment factors? We will use them like we used it for the limited network study as well. If you remember, we multiplied the value of one day with the adjustment factor and we got the average of the whole week or the average of the study period, which was 3 days in the other case. Okay, so we will use it in the same way for the statewide program as well. So let's say you have taken a 24-hour count at a coverage point. At a coverage count location, you have taken a 24-hour count. Okay, so this is one value and we want ADT for all the points. Okay, so how do we get ADT? First of all, find out on which day and which month this count was taken. So the day is represented with a letter I and J is the letter for the month. Okay, so V24IJ means 24-hour volume in the day I and in the month J. Okay, then you multiply, then you see which one is the closest control point or the group of control count locations, whichever is the case. If you did the grouping, then look at the closest group. If you didn't do the grouping, then look at the closest control count location. For that control count location, find out the daily adjustment factor for the day I and the monthly adjustment factor for the day for the month J, and you multiply with them. Okay, you will get AADT. Okay, so any 24-hour count multiplied by the adjustment factor of the respective day and month will be converted into ADT, average annual daily traffic. Okay, let us look at an example here. So let's say these adjustment factors have already been taken or calculated from our control count location, and for this location, near this location, there was a coverage count point station where count was taken on a Tuesday in July, and this count was 1,000 vehicles. Okay, and now for this coverage count location, I want to find out AADT. So I will multiply 1,000 with the adjustment factor of Tuesday and with the adjustment factor of July because the count was taken on Tuesday and July. Okay, so if you multiply them, then the adjustment factor for Tuesday is adjustment factor for Tuesday is first of all the count is 1,000. So AADT equals 1,000 multiplied by the adjustment factor of Tuesday, which is 1.121, multiplied by the adjustment factor of July, which is 0.913. So how much will be the ADT? Yes, ADT. Yeah, 1023. Okay, 1023 is fine. No need to, point out the decimals. Okay, so 1023 is the count for ADT for this coverage point. Okay, on which you took the data on Tuesday and July. So this is the use of the adjustment factors. Okay, similarly, now you can use AADT to calculate VMT as well. Now in the previous example, the one which we did yesterday, we calculated VMT for an 8-hour period for the segment as well as for the network. Okay, because the count was given for 8 hours. If you have AADT, then you can calculate the average VMT for the entire day. Remember, AADT is the average of the whole year, average daily count for the whole year. So if you multiply AADT with the length, so you have average daily VMT for the entire year, average daily VMT for the entire year. And if you multiply with the number of days in the year, that is 365, you will get the VMT for that, the total VMT for the entire year. Okay, the total VMT for the entire year. So the units of VMT, the time period of VMT depends upon the time period for the volume. So if the volume is average daily, then VMT will be average daily. Okay, and if you multiply with 365, then you will convert it from average daily to the total VMT for the entire year. So I told you earlier, this is one of the objectives of the statewide counting program, to calculate the usage of the highway in terms of VMT. Okay, so let us look at an example for calculation of VMT. So this is a table which I showed you in just last example as well. It has all the adjustment factors for the days and months. Okay, near this control count location, we had 6 more coverage count locations. Okay, so for one, we have already calculated the AADT, but now we have 6 more coverage count locations. On these coverage count locations, we measured the length of the segment, okay, and we collected 24-hour count. So these are all 24-hour count values, 1 day count values, and they have mentioned on which day and month the value is taken. So for example, on station 1, the length is 3 miles, and the value was taken on a Wednesday in March, and the value came out to be 9,120 vehicles in the 24 hours, and so on. Now, for calculating, so for all these coverage count locations, we want the total VMT for 365 days of the year. We want total VMT for 365 days of the year. Now, so if you go back to the equation, first of all, I need AADT. L is the length of the segment, which is already given, and 365 obviously days in the year will remain the same. Now, for each point I need AADT. For each point I need AADT. So take the value of the 24-hour count, multiply with the adjustment factor of the day and the adjustment factor of the month. So 9,120 multiply with the adjustment factor of Wednesday, which is 1.108, and multiply with the adjustment factor of March, which is 1.100. Okay, so when you multiply, then you will get AADT. See this one? This is the AADT at station 1. Okay, and these are the adjustment factors for Wednesday and March. Then, if you want VMT, then the value which you got for AADT, multiply it with the length of the segment, which is 3 miles for station 1, and number of days in the year, which is 365. So this number, it's a very long number, it's basically 12,171,424. Okay, so these are now vehicle miles traveled on segment 1 in the entire year. Total vehicle miles traveled on segment 1 in the entire year. Okay, same thing will be repeated for 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. Okay, so for each day, multiply with the adjustment factor of the day and the month, and then multiply by the length from this column, the second column, and then multiply with 365. Okay, so for example, for station 2, we'll multiply 10,255 with 1.121 adjustment factor of Tuesday, and then you multiply with the adjustment factor of September, which is 0.884. Okay, and then you multiply with 2.7 and you multiply with 365, you will get this. Okay, 100,14982. So these are the vehicle miles traveled, total vehicle miles traveled for the entire year on these stations, on these segments which have these coverage count locations. Okay, now if you look at the values, the highest value is for station 4. The highest value is for station 4, which is more than 27 million. Okay, and the lowest value is for station 5, which is slightly more than 7 million. Okay, so why station 4 has more highest value? Because station 4 has highest length and highest volume. Obviously, you are multiplying length with volume and so on with some other factors. So if the volume and length is higher, that means that eventually the VMT will be higher. Okay, so that segment with station 4 is the most important segment in terms of its usage. It is used more than any other segment among these. Okay, among the given ones. Then station 5, that the opposite of this is station 5 is the least important because it has the least usage. Okay, now why station 5 has the least usage? If you look at the length of station 5 is still more than station 6. Okay, and similarly the volume of station 5 is still more than volume of station 1. Okay, but you see the combined effect of volume and length gave us this value. Okay, so if you were taking only length, then the least important one would have been the segment with station 6. If you were taking only volume, then the least important one would have been the segment with station 1. And both times you would have been wrong. Okay, because we should look at the combined effect. Okay, so this is the importance of taking VMT. That gives you the combined effect directly. Now I can just look at these values and I can say the least important segment is station 5. Okay, so always the usage is measured in terms of volume as well as length. You cannot look at one factor and ignore the other one. Okay, now we will discuss specialized counting studies. The counting studies which we have discussed up till now, they were all related to finding out volume which is passing a segment or passing an intersection. We were not bothered from where it is coming and where they are going. We are just trying to find out how many vehicles are in this segment or how many vehicles are on this intersection, and that's it. If these vehicles are coming from this city or that area, we don't know and we don't want to know. Okay, this is the thing. But in specialized counting studies are those studies where you are trying to find out the volume coming in and going out from specific areas. Specialized counting studies are those studies where the volume is studied on the basis of their areas, from which area they are coming, from this area they are originating, and to which area they are destined. Okay, so there are three types of specialized counting studies that we will discuss here: origin, destination, cordon counts, and streamline counts. Okay, let us start with origin destination studies. First of all, the meaning of origin and destination. Origin means the area from which you started your trip. Destination means the area in which you ended your trip. Okay, origin means starting of the trip, destination means ending of your trip. Okay, so we are trying to find out in origin destination studies, we are trying to find out the origin from where the driver came and the destination where the driver is going. Now, origin destination counts can be done in three ways. You can see the methods here: license plate, postcard, and interview studies. Okay, license plate study. In license plate study, first of all, you identify which are the entry and exit points of your areas under the consideration. So, for example, you are doing different cities in Bahrain. So you will identify the entry and exit points for each city, each of those cities. So you have 4 cities. For each of these cities, you find out from where I can enter and exit the area. At all these locations, at the entry and exit points, you will place observers or equipments or cameras, whatever is feasible for you, to note down the license plate number of the cars entering and exiting the area. Okay, so for example, you have placed an observer. So whenever a car exits the area, the observer will note down the license plate. The car with this license plate number has exited, let's say, city 1. Okay, let's say there's another observer which is at city 3, and he is noted down the same car which has the car with the same license plate number, which is entering city 3. So city 1, from where the observer saw it coming out, became the origin of that driver, and city 3, where the other observer saw it going in, became the destination. Okay, so you take the license plate numbers where you are placed, and in the end you come back with your observation sheets, and then somebody in the office or you in the office will match the license plate numbers of the cars coming in and going out of each area, and wherever you find the matching, you will know the origin and the destination. Okay, you find the matching between the entry and exiting vehicles, you will have the origin and the destination. Okay. Yeah, the other technique is postcard technique. Okay, so in postcard technique, you develop a question card. Okay, so it's a small card, and then so on one side of the card, you have the questions. Okay, including origin and destination, and then you can maybe ask 1 or 2 more questions as well. For example, purpose of the trip. Okay, you can add this question. You can also add a question about the mode. Okay, the choice of the transportation to go from one area to the other area. So you can add maybe 1 or 2 extra questions as well. Okay, and on the back side of the card you have your address. Okay, when we were kids, these postcards used to come. They used to be available in the stationery shops. We used to take them and we used to send them on Eid and other occasions to their relatives and friends. I think they will still be available at the stationery shops and the post office, but we don't use them now so often, right? We have WhatsApp and so many things. But anyways, so these postcards are available. One side is questions, other side is address. You distribute them to the drivers on the signals, on the parking lots, and so on. And you ask them whenever they have the time, they fill the cards and then they post it back to you. Okay, so no observers required in the field. In this case, no working required in the office to match the license plate numbers and so on. Okay, and then you have the advantage of asking 1 or 2 extra questions as well. Then we have interview studies. So interview studies are more detailed. It has more questions, okay, and it has multiple functions. So interview studies are not only done for origin destination counts. So interview studies can be used for planning of transportation systems, planning of public transportation, for census of the population, and so on. Okay, so interview studies have more functions. Okay, so interview studies needs more time from you as well as from the respondent, right? The people who are responding to you. So you go to them with the questionnaire and you ask them to fill the questionnaire. So you may have to go to their houses, you may have to go to the parking lots or to their offices, you know, places where they can sit easily, comfortably, and answer your questions. Okay, so interview studies, as I said, more detailed, more questions, more functions. Okay, more things we can do with that data. Okay, but each technique has its own disadvantages as well. So for example, in license plate technique, you will be missing many cars when you're writing down the license plate number of some cars. The other cars may be missed because the cars will keep on going. Okay, similarly, you may need many observers or detectors or equipments, whatever method you are using to detect the license plate number. If you are using observers, then you will require many observers. Okay, because each area may have multiple entry and exit points, and at each point you may need multiple observers. Okay, because of multiple lanes or so on. Okay, so license plate studies need more resources, and they may not be. You know, eventually you may miss many vehicles. Postcard techniques, you are hampered or you are dependent upon the response from the driver, because he has a card and he may respond maybe after 1 year. Okay, or he may not respond at all. Okay, so you have to wait. First of all, you have to wait because you don't have the data until at least few drivers send the card to you. You don't have any data. Okay, and even the first few drivers may take weeks to respond to you. Okay, so you are waiting. Interview studies, they are so detailed and you have to go to so many places, so many houses and offices. It takes more time, and you know, and you cannot cover the whole population in any case. Okay, interview studies, you cannot cover the whole population, and even for a sample of population you need more time and effort and so on. Okay, but anyways, you have to select one of these methods and you have to apply it, because these are the methods we have. Okay, nothing is perfect in this world except God, right? So we are all human beings and their methods are imperfect and we have to work with them. Okay, so after you get the data, you will prepare an origin destination matrix, which you can see here, the table which you see here. It's an origin destination matrix or OD matrix, origin destination or OD matrix. Now this matrix is prepared for an area which has 4 zones, 4 regions. Okay, so there are 4 areas from which you can come out or in which you can go in. Okay, so the first column, the areas are listed as destinations. Okay, so each row represents the area as a destination, and then each column represents the area as a origin, because each area will be origin to some people and destination to some people. So same areas will be repeated as origins and destinations, but destinations are in terms of rows and origins are in terms of columns. Okay, so from your study you found that 50 people let's say went out of area 1 and they remained in area 1. 50 people went, their start of the trip was area 1 and the end of the trip was also area 1. So you see it here. Okay, and again from your study you found that 8 people started their trip from area 2 but ended their trip in area 1. So they are listed in second column, first row. Second column because the origin was second area, and the first row because the destination was the first area. The origin was the second area and the destination was the first area. Okay, so the second column, first row. Okay, similarly, this number 20 is for people who started their trip in a station origin in area 3 and the end of their trip was in area 1. Okay, so this is how you read the matrix, or this is how you prepare the matrix. Okay, and for each row and each column you can do the summation. You can see the summations here. So this 95 means what? Total number of people who went into area 1, because this is for destination, right? Rows are for destination. So total number of people who went into area 1, okay, from all other areas, okay. And then 106 people went into area 2 according to your study, okay, according to your study. Why I keep on saying that, I will just explain to you. And then what is this 88? The summation of this for the first column, these are the number of people who came out of area 1. 99 is the number of people who came out of area 2, and 97 is the number of people who came out of area 3, and so on. Okay, and again they belong to, their destination can be any of these areas. Okay, they came out of 3, but their destination can be 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, so this is the story of the summations. Then you have these diagonal numbers, 50, 65, 38, and 42. Diagonal numbers indicate, I've already explained it for 50, that the origin and the destination is the same area. The origin and the destination is the same zone. So we call them intrazonal trips. Diagonal numbers are known as intrazonal trips. And the meaning is their start and end point of the trip was the same region, the same zone. Okay, now as I said, irrespective of your method, whether you are applying license plate, postcard, or interview, you will never get the full count for any area. This origin destination matrix represents a sample of the count. It does not represent the full count. 50 is not the actual number of people who have origin and destination as one. The actual number will be higher. Why? Because I already told you, any method you apply, all these methods have some disadvantages, and the common thing is with any of these methods you cannot cover all the drivers or the whole population. Okay, with any of these methods it is not possible to cover all the drivers or the whole population of the area. So these numbers are bound to be incomplete. I will not say inaccurate, but they are bound to be incomplete. The actual number is higher than that. Now, how to find out the actual number? For finding out the actual number of people for each origin and destination, I will do a volume study in the field. Now you may say, if we had to do volume study, why did we do the origin destination count using these methods? Why didn't we do the volume study directly? I told you the reason at the start. In volume study, when vehicles are passing you, you don't know from where they are coming and where they are going. This is the point. Okay, when somebody is passing in front of you, you count it. This is one vehicle, but from where it is coming, where it is going, we don't know. Okay, so volume study is done to calibrate this matrix. It cannot replace this matrix because this matrix contains the area to area count. Okay, but volume study is just total number. Okay, so for example, now how do we conduct the volume study? Again, you will count the number of vehicles entering and exiting each area. Count it. Just count it. So go to the field, count the number of vehicles entering area 1. So that was 250. Destination at area 1, that was 250. For area 2, 310. For area 3, 200, 375. Okay, and then you count the number of vehicles coming out of each area. So these are the numbers. So how many people came out? How many vehicles came out of area 1? 210. Area 2, 200. Area 3, 325. Area 4, 400. Okay. Again, these numbers are incomplete because for these numbers, I do not know their origin. Okay, out of 210, how many went to area 2, 3, 4? I don't know. Similarly, these numbers are also incomplete because I don't know their origin. Okay, so these numbers cannot replace the matrix. Okay, this is my point. Now, I want to make this matrix accurate, complete, okay, to the actual numbers. I will use, first of all, so what is the procedure? Let me explain the procedure, then I will show you the calculations. The procedure is, first of all, so you have the summation of each row and column, and in front of each row and column, you have the volume from the field. Okay, take the ratio of volume upon the summation. Volume upon the summation. So for each row and for each column, you will do volume upon summation. You have the volume from the field and you have the summation of that row and that column from the matrix. Okay. the ratio will be known as adjustment factor for that row and that column. The adjustment factor of the respective row and column. So if you do 250 upon 95, it will be called as the adjustment factor for row 1. 310 upon 106 will be called as adjustment factor for row 2. Similarly, 210 upon 88 will be called as adjustment factor of column 1. 200 upon 99 will be called as adjustment factor of column 2, and so on. Okay, so for each case, for each row and column, calculate the adjustment factor, which is the ratio of volume upon the summation of respective row and column. Okay, now for then pick each value from this matrix one by one, and the value should be multiplied with the average of the adjustment factor of that row and column where you have the value. Each value, for completing the value, for calibrating, we call it calibration. This process is known as calibration. So calibration of OD matrix. So for calibrating each value, you take this value and multiply with the average of the factor of its row and column. Okay, so 50 should be multiplied with the adjustment factor of the first row and first column. The average of the adjustment factors of the first row and first column. 10 should be multiplied with the average of the adjustment factors for the first row and second row and first column. 15 should be multiplied with the average factors of the factors of the third row and first column. Similarly, 12 should be multiplied with the average of the adjustment factors for the second column and the third row. Okay, and so on. Okay, so each value should be multiplied with the average of its average of the adjustment factors of its row and column. Okay, and then you will replace the multiplied values with these values. Okay, so the other way around, sorry. These values must be multiplied with the answers you get after multiplication. These values must be replaced, the values which you have now must be replaced by the new values which you get after multiplication. So first of all, take each value, multiply with the average of the adjustment factors of its row and column, and then replace the original value with the multiplied value. Okay, replace the original value, this value, with the multiplied value. Okay, once you are done, once you have done it for all the values in this matrix, okay, so the column and row summation will change, right? Because you have new values in the matrix. So for each row and each column, you will calculate new summations. Okay, so 95 will have a new value. Instead of 95, you have a new value. 106, you have a new value. Okay, now you will recalculate the adjustment factors with the new summations. Recalculate the adjustment factors with the new summations. Okay, now what is the perfect value of the ratio? What is the ideal value of the ratio? Ratio of, by ratio I mean the adjustment factor, the ratio of volume upon summation. What is the ideal value? 1, right? We want both these values to be equal. The value from the field and the value from the matrix should be exactly equal. Okay, so the ideal value of the adjustment factor of the ratio, adjustment factor or the ratio, is 1, where volume and the summation of the summation from the matrix is equal, exactly equal. Okay, but obviously you are doing calculations and you are approximating, you are rounding, and so on and so forth. They will never be equal to 1. Okay, or they will. It is a very low chance that you will get a value exactly 1. Okay, so we have expanded our acceptable range. Our acceptable range is, if I get a value of the adjustment factor between 0.9 and 1.1, I will stop there. If I get all the adjustment factors between 0.9 and 1.1, I'll stop there. Okay, so my purpose, the purpose should have been to make all the factors equal to 1. But making it 1 will take so many iterations, so many trials, that I will end my life doing that. Okay, or you will start doing it and then your kids will have to continue after you graduate. Okay, we don't have that much time. So we stop when the factors become in this range between 0.9 and 1.1. Okay, so if all the factors for all the rows and columns come in this range, we stop there. Okay, simple. Now let me show you the calculation. Okay, if it doesn't, then you repeat the whole process again with the new factors and new values. So now we have the new factors and the new values. Multiply the new values with the average of the new factors, and you recalibrate the whole matrix again. Okay, let me show it to you. So these are the adjustment factors with the initial values, initial submissions. So 250 upon 95 equals 2.63. Similarly, 210 upon 88 gives you 2.39. Okay. Now if I want to convert 50, if I want to calibrate 50, then 50 should be multiplied with the average of 2.39 and 2.63. Okay. Let me just do one or two values. Okay. So take out your calculators. So 50 multiplied by the adjustment factor of the first column, which is 2.63, plus the adjustment factor of the first row. Sorry, 2.63 is for the first row and 2.39 for the first column, divided by 2. How much is this? How much is this? $126. Okay, you can round off. 126. Okay. Similarly, let's say I'm doing 8. I'm trying to calibrate this value. Second row, second column, first row. So 8. So 8 should be multiplied with adjustment factor of the second column, which is 2.02, and the average was 2.63, which is for the first row. How much is this? $19. Okay, 19. So yeah, you can round off. Okay, 18.6, 19, fine. So the first value should be 126, the second one should be 19, and so on. So you have to do it for all this whole matrix. Okay, this whole 4 by 4 matrix should be, so 4 by 4 means 16, right? 16 values must be converted like this. Okay, so we have done that, and this is the new matrix now. This is the new matrix. Okay, so you can have plus minus 1 difference, no problem, because rounding off, no problem, no big issue. Okay, so these are the new values. With the new values, you calculate the recalculate submissions. So the T values are the submissions. So these are the new submissions: 232, 251, 306. Okay, and for the rows, it is 267, 292, 229, 1137. Okay, so these are the new submissions now. Okay, then you recalculate the adjustment factors with the new submissions. So 210 upon 232 gives you 0.9. 200 upon 251 gives you 0.8. Okay, and similarly, if you come here, then 250 upon 267 gives you 0.94. 310 upon 292 gives you 1.06, and so on. Okay, so you recalculated the adjustment factors. Now, what was the criteria? The criteria was that all adjustment factors must be between 0.9 and 1.1. All adjustment factors must be between 0.9 and 1.1. Are all of them between this range? They are, except for the third destination. Okay, except for the third row, all values are in the range. Then you come here for the columns. Are all the values in the range for the columns? Yes, except the second column. Except the second column. Okay. Now again, the rule is you cannot leave out one column or one row, because leaving out one row or one column will affect the others as well. For example, if you tell me, okay, leave out the third row. If you leave out the third row, all these values will go out. That means that column 1, 2, 3, 4 all will be affected. Okay. Similarly, if you tell me, okay, leave out column 2. If you leave out column 2, then all rows will be affected. So the matrix must be taken as a whole. Okay, you cannot leave out any value from the matrix, because that one value is affecting multiple rows and columns. Okay, so we cannot leave out any row and column as uncalibrated. Okay, all factors, the point is all factors must come in the range. So they did not come in the range after the first trial, so I will apply the second trial now. So in the second trial, these values will be multiplied, the values which you have got in this matrix now, and they should be multiplied with the average of the new factors now. So 125 will be multiplied with the average of 0.9 and 0.94. Similarly, 19 will be multiplied with the average of 0.8 and 0.94. Okay, so repeat this process for again all the 16 values in the matrix, and you get this new matrix. Okay, so you have the new matrix now. Okay, again you calculate the new submissions which are given here. Okay, this one and this one. Okay, and then you calculate the new ratios, the adjustment factors, which are these values. So now there is no problem in any row. Okay, the adjustment factor for all the rows are within the range, but the adjustment factor for the second column is still out of the range. Okay, so just because of this one column, I have to do one more calibration trial. I have to do one more iteration. Okay, again, I will now take these values 116, 16, 60, 66, and so on, and I will use these adjustment factors now, which you see in this matrix. Okay, so 116 will be multiplied with the adjustment average of 0.97 and 0.97. 26 will be multiplied with the adjustment average of 0.97 and 1.08, and so on. So this is the matrix after multiplication with the new factors, and you have these values now. These are the new summations, and then these are the new factors. Now you see all factors are in the range. All factors are in the range. Okay. There's a small check you can perform because you have to perform multiple iterations. So if you made a mistake in the first iteration and you are having problem because of that, you may not know. So you can have a check after each iteration. The check is that the factors for each row and column must be getting closer to 1. After each iteration, the factor must be getting better. Getting better means they should be closer to 1 than the previous iteration. The adjustment factors with each iteration must be getting closer to 1 as compared to the previous iteration. If it is not happening, that means you made a mistake. Okay, for example, these are the initial values. For example, take the first row and first column. First row factor is 2.63. First column factor is 2.39. Next iteration, first row 0.94. First column 0.9. You see, big improvement. Big improvement. Next iteration 0.97. It was 0.94 earlier, so now it is closer to 1. This value was 0.9. Now it is 0.97. Again, big improvement, and closer to 1. Next iteration from 0.94 to 0.98. Right? It was 0.97 to 0.98. Again, getting closer to 1. This one was also 0.97. Now it is 0.99. Okay. So although you may not be getting all the factors equal to 1, but with each iteration they should be getting closer to 1. Okay, if it is happening, that means you are on the right track. If it is not happening, that means you are making a mistake. Okay, recheck your calculations. Okay. Now if you have any questions, you can ask me, otherwise I will go for the attendance. Dua Rabi. Amna Muhammad, Muhammad Usama, Amal Abdullah. Again, if you see your name on the screen, raise your hand. Okay. So Muhammad Usama is here. Amal Abdullah, Amna Muhammad. Amna is here. Amal is here. Numan is here. Amna, Amal, Numan. Okay. Ali Muhammad, Hakima Ali, Zahra Sayyid. Hakima is here. Ali is here. Zahra is here. Okay. Then Abdullah Jaliluddin, Abdul Rahman Ibrahim, Nujuz Salah, Nadine Hussam. If I mark your attendance, leave or lower your hand. If I mark your attendance, leave or lower your hand. Nujud is here, Abdul Rahman is here, Abdullah is here, and Nadine is here. Okay, fine. Zahra, Riyad, Abu Bakr, Ghani, and Zainab Ali. Zahra is here, Abu Bakr is here, Zainab is here. Okay, fine. Maryam Abdul Amir, Masht Bashar, Asil Hassan, Ali Mustafa. Maryam is here. Who else? Asil is here. Masht Bashar, not here. Ali Mustafa, Maryam, Asil. Hamad Khalid, okay, Latifa is here. Hamad Khalid and Abdullah Husamuddin. Hamad Khalid and Abdullah Husamuddin is here. Ala Salman, Isra Abdul Kareem, Ali Abdul Razak, Elizabeth Ann. Ala is here, Isra is here, Ali is here. Ala, Isra, Ali. Okay, Elizabeth Ann, Ali Makki, and Ibrahim Muhammad. Oh no, Ibrahim was there. Elizabeth Ann and Ali Makki. Okay, Ali Makki is here. Anybody left from this section? Anybody left from this section? No, I'm going to section 1 now. In section 1, who do we have? People from section 1, raise your hand or send me a message. Huda, Khalid Qasim, Abdullah, you are in section 2, my friend. Okay, so people from section 1, Huda, Khalid Qasim, Fatma Ahmad, and Iman. Okay, Iman done. Khalid Qasim done. Huda Hassan done. Fatma Ahmad done. Okay, everybody is done now. See you guys on Thursday, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.